Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here to take that stack of sources you gave us, all the articles, the research, the clinical notes, and really turn all that dense information into knowledge you can use right now.
And today's topic is, well, it's absolutely essential. It touches on what the sources are calling a quiet, almost invisible health crisis.
Right.
I mean, if you're listening and you deal with that frustrating, kind of confusing mix of symptoms, maybe it's indigestion all the time, or that crushing brain fog that hits you every single afternoon.
Afternoon slump, yeah.
Or maybe it's just a low-grade ache in your joints that just doesn't quit. Or you've seen that C-reactive protein number, CRP, pop up on a lab report looking a little high. These are the signs.
Okay, let's unpack that, because when most people hear inflammation, they think of, sprained ankle. It's red, it's hot, it's swollen. Obvious.
Right. Acute pain.
But the sources we have, they're stressing that this chronic version, it's operating on a whole different frequency.
It's a completely different animal.
Yeah.
Acute inflammation, that's a good thing. It's your body's fire department rushing to put out a blaze. It's quick, it's effective.
And then it's over.
Exactly.
Okay.
Chronic low-grade inflammation, though. It's like a tiny, smoldering ember deep inside your system that just never, ever goes out. Your immune system is on this constant, low-level alert.
Wow.
And the research on this is just crystal clear. This internal smolder is a foundational cause for so many conditions, like obesity, type 2 diabetes, even cardiovascular disease.
So our mission for this deep dive is going to be super practical. We're going to unpack exactly how modern life triggers this internal fire. We'll isolate the three main traps.
And then the important part.
And then crucially, we're dedicating most of our time to the simplest, most actionable strategies you can use to extinguish that fire. To, switch your body into what the sources call a repair and protection mode.
Let's do it.
So let's start where the fight really begins
Oh.
for most of us, right? In the kitchen. What are the big culprits hiding in our daily diet that just keep feeding this fire?
The sources point to three big traps, and the first one is, it's everywhere. They call it the sugar roller coaster.
The sugar roller coaster.
And what's really illuminating here is that it's not just about the obvious stuff, like candy bars or soda. It's the high glycemic index, high GI refined starches.
So what are we talking about specifically?
Your everyday staples.
Yep.
White rice, most breakfast cereals, white bread, mashed potatoes. When you eat these, your blood sugar just skyrockets. That's the roller coaster effect.
Okay. And that forces your pancreas to do what?
To just pump out massive amounts of insulin to deal with the surge.
And if that happens meal after meal, day after day, what's the long-term damage?
Well, that constant high sugar, high insulin environment, it leads to the formation of these really nasty compounds. They're called advanced glycation end products. AGs.
AGs, okay.
And your sources use this incredibly powerful analogy for them. They say that AGs literally rust you internally.
Wow. Internal rust.
Yeah.
That's a stunning image. How did that actually show up in the body?
It's pretty destructive. These AGEs, they go around and attach to proteins, damaging the walls of your blood vessels, making tissues stiff. And importantly, they attack the cartilage in your joints.
So that's where that random joint pain comes from.
It's a huge contributor to that unexplained low-grade joint inflammation.
Yeah.
That feeling of stiffness you might have. It's not just getting older. It could very well be this internal accumulation of AGs.
Which leads us right into trap 2, and this is one that's getting a ton of attention lately.
Yeah.
Leaky gut. I mean, we hear about the gut being our second brain, but how is it so deeply tied to inflammation?
Because the gut is, for all intents and purposes, the headquarters of your immune system. Something like 70% of your immune cells are right there behind the intestinal wall.
70%, okay.
And that wall is protected by this single layer of cells that are held together by something called tight junctions.
Okay, what are those?
The best way to visualize it is like a very, very tight zipper.
So a good, strong zipper. It keeps everything that's supposed to stay inside the gut inside.
Precisely. It keeps undigested food, bacteria, all that stuff separate from your sterile bloodstream. But when your gut flora gets out of balance, usually from a diet high in sugar and processed foods, that zipper, those tight junctions, they start to get loose.
They become compromised.
They do. And this allows things like undigested food particles and bacterial toxins, like LPS, to literally leak into your bloodstream.
And when things that shouldn't be in the blood suddenly appear, I'm guessing the immune system freaks out.
It sees an invasion and goes on full-scale systemic alert.
Yeah.
It kicks off a chronic inflammatory response to fight these invaders.
That's the connection.
That's the connection. This leakage is why seemingly unrelated issues, that persistent brain fog, skin problems like eczema, or just chronic unexplained fatigue, can so often be traced right back to the health of your gut lining.
Okay, that brings us to the final trap, trap 3. And this one is about the fats we eat. It's not just about avoiding fat, is it? The sources say the real problem is a dangerous imbalance.
The imbalance is everything, yeah. I mean, historically, our diets had a pretty balanced ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fats, but modern processed diets, they've just swung violently toward way, way too much omega-6.
Which are the pro-inflammatory ones?
Largely pro-inflammatory, yes, while at the same time, we're basically starving our bodies of the anti-inflammatory omega-3s, specifically EPA and DHA.
I have to ask, because I hear omega-6 and I think bad, but isn't something like olive oil an omega-6? Are we supposed to avoid all of them?
That is such a crucial distinction. We absolutely need some omega-6s. They are essential fats. The problem is the highly refined versions in industrial seed oils and processed foods, and critically, the ratio.
The ratio.
When your omega-3 levels are low, your body defaults to producing more and more of these highly pro-inflammatory signals. If you think of inflammation as a war, the omega-3s are the peacekeepers. If you don't have enough peacekeepers on the ground, the conflict just keeps escalating.
All right, so we've identified the enemies. The sugar roller coaster and its internal rust. The leaky gut barrier, and that skewed fat balance. Time for the fix-it list. Let's get into the simple, effective steps. Core strategy 1, stabilizing blood sugar and fighting all that oxidation.
The fastest way to slam the brakes on creating those AGEs is to just change your carbohydrate source. You swap your high GI staples for low GI alternatives. It's a really simple, achievable dietary shift.
Okay, so give us the simple swaps. What can we do that will still feel satisfying?
You just want to choose carbs that release their sugar slowly, steadily. So you reduce the white rice, the white bread, the mashed potatoes.
All white stuff, basically.
Pretty much. And you substitute it with things like brown rice, quinoa, steel-cut oatmeal, real whole grain bread, sweet potatoes. That one change dramatically calms down that insulin surge, that roller coaster.
And this is where it gets really interesting for me. The sources also say that avoiding these AGEs isn't just about what we eat, but how we cook it.
Oh, absolutely. High-heat cooking methods, we're talking frying, grilling, deep frying, they generate a massive amount of AGEs in the food itself before you even eat it.
So my grilled chicken might be a problem.
It can be, yeah. To actively fight inflammation, you literally need to turn down the heat. Prioritize cooking with moist, low-temperature methods. Steaming, boiling, stewing, just shifting your technique can significantly cut down the amount of internal rust you take in every day.
Okay, now what about fighting the damage that's already been done? Those small, unstable hoodlums, as the sources call them, attacking our cells. We need to deploy the antioxidant heroes.
We do. We need to bring in compounds that neutralize those free radicals every single day. The sources highlight a real powerhouse trio. First, green tea for its catechins and EGCG.
Yeah.
Second, berries. They're just packed with anthocyanins. And third, turmeric, which of course contains curcumin.
Now, curcumin is famous as this amazing anti-inflammatory, but I know it's got a big problem in the body, which is absorption, right?
This might be the single most critical, practical tip in the entire stack of sources. Curcumin on its own is very, very poorly absorbed by the gut.
So you could be taking it and not getting the benefit.
You're getting almost none of it. The trick is synergy. You have to add black pepper, which contains a compound called piperine. Piperine dramatically boosts how much curcumin your body can actually use.
By how much?
We're talking orders of magnitude. So if you're using turmeric in a soup, a golden milk latte, a supplement, always, always pair it with a pinch of black pepper. Otherwise, you're just missing out on its power. It is a tiny step with enormous leverage.
Okay, let's move on to core strategy 2. Repairing that gut barrier and rearming with good fats. For the gut, what's the most effective approach?
It's synergy again. The sources really stress that for healing the gut, it's the combination of probiotics and fiber. It's a classic 1 + 1 = 3 situation.
So walk us through how that team works together to fix that tight zipper.
Okay, so the probiotics, those are the living organisms like lactobacillus and bifidobacterium you find in things like unsweetened yogurt, kimchi, miso soup. They're the health guardians. They basically set up shop on the gut lining and push out the bad bacteria.
They reclaim the territory.
They do. Then comes the fiber, especially soluble fiber from things like oats or flaxseed. That's the super nutrition. It's a primary fuel source, like an energy drink for all those good bacteria you just introduced.
And when the good bacteria eat that fiber, What happens? What do they produce?
They produce something called short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs, and these SCFAs are the vital energy source for the cells that make up your gut lining.
Ah, so you're feeding the good guys, and in return, they create the very thing your gut needs to repair itself.
You've got it. They produce the compounds needed to rebuild that damaged zipper, which literally stops the leakage and quiets down that systemic immune response.
That makes perfect sense. So let's revisit our anti-inflammatory weapon, omega-3. We know it reduces inflammation, but how does it actually, clean up the mess?
It does way more than just reduce it, it actively resolves it. Your body requires omega-3s, EPA, and DHA to create these specialized molecules called resolvins and protectins.
Resolvins, as in they resolve the problem.
That's exactly it. These molecules don't just dampen the inflammatory alarm bell, they actively send out the signal to turn off the response and begin the healing process. They're the chemical messengers that tell the troops to retreat after the war and go back to normal.
So they're the body's natural cleanup crew. What's the actionable tip for the listener? How much do we need?
You should aim for about 500 to 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA every day. The best way is through food. Fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, 2 to 3 times a week.
And if you use a supplement?
Just make sure the label clearly lists the EPA and DHA content and that it's been tested for purity.
All right, we've covered the what and the why. Now for the holistic blueprint. For someone who feels totally overwhelmed and just needs a simple, reliable method for every single meal, the sources have this brilliant framework.
They do. It's the 211 plate method. This is your framework for consistency. It requires 0 calorie counting, and it just ensures you hit the right nutrient ratios every time you eat. It simplifies everything.
Okay, lay out the ratio for us. How does it work?
You just look at your plate every single time. 50%, so half the plate, must be vegetables. That guarantees your fiber and your antioxidants.
Okay, half vegetables, so got it.
Then 25%, or 1/4, is for quality protein. Fish, tofu, lean meat. And the last 25% is for your low GI carbohydrates. Quinoa, brown rice, sweet potato.
So half vegetables, 1/4 protein, 1/4 low GI carbs.
That's it. That simple visual guide is probably the most successful tool for long-term adherence in all the source material.
And beyond what we eat, there's also when we eat, which brings us back to that initial problem of high insulin.
That's right. This is where the sources recommend exploring 16.8 intermittent fasting. And it's not a diet, it's just a timing tool.
So 16 hours fasting, 8 hours eating.
Correct. You fast for 16 hours, just water, black coffee is fine, and then you eat all your meals within an 8-hour window. A really common one is from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. By doing that, you give your insulin levels a long time to drop and stay low, which reduces that inflammation and helps your body switch into fat-burning mode.
Now, what if a listener is dealing with those specific symptoms we mentioned at the start, like long COVID issues, brain fog, or joint pain? How do these strategies give them targeted relief?
Let's get specific. For brain fog, which is often inflammation messing with the tiny blood vessels in the brain and our mitochondria, our energy factories, you need more than just omega-3.
Yeah.
The sources specifically call out the B vitamins, especially B1, which is thiamine. Thiamine is essential for your brain to use sugar properly as fuel. When that process is inefficient, lactic acid can build up, which contributes to nerve pain, fatigue, and that brain fog.
So boosting B1 helps your brain fuel burn cleaner.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
That's a fascinating connection.
Yeah.
What about that nagging joint pain?
Well, joint pain isn't just mechanical wear and tear. It's often an immune system attack. It's ongoing oxidative stress. So for repair, you need structural support, like collagen, which you can get from slow-simmered bone broth.
And for the inflammation itself?
You need powerful, natural anti-inflammatories. The sources mention bromelain, which is an enzyme you find in fresh pineapple. It acts as a gentle, natural anti-inflammatory that helps reduce swelling and discomfort in the joints.
So we've got the theory, the framework, the specific supports. For someone listening right now who wants to jump in and feel a difference this week, what's the single most focused, short-term plan to kickstart things?
We call it the 7-day anti-inflammation kickstart. You don't aim for perfection, you just aim for focus. Commit to 3 simple things every day for a week. First, add flaxseed or chia seeds to something oatmeal, a smoothie for fiber, and omega-3.
Okay, easy enough.
Second, drink 1 cup of that powerful turmeric and black pepper tea daily. And third, this is the big one, for just 7 days, completely eliminate all processed foods and all refined sugar. That one focused week can create really surprising results and build incredible momentum.
That brings us to the end of this deep dive. Let's just quickly summarize the path to turning off that internal fire. Remember the 3 pillars. 1. Swap your high GI carbs for low GI ones and use low-heat cooking to slash your AGEs.
2. Repair your gut with that powerful team of fiber and probiotics to stop the leakage.
And 3. Flood your system with the good stuff omega-3s and those synergistic antioxidants, like curcumin with that pinch of piperine.
And just try to adopt the mindset that this is a marathon, not a sprint. The sources all recommend the 80-20 principle. Be really good 80% of the time and give yourself 20% flexibility for, life.
Right. It's not about perfection.
Not at all. It's about building a long-term daily lifestyle that protects your body from the inside out.
The knowledge is here, the path is clear. So the final thought is for you. What single small change can you make in your very next meal? Is it just adding one more vegetable? Is it choosing a handful of nuts instead of that sugary snack? Or simply swapping your white rice for brown rice? Remember, every small step you take adds up, and it brings you closer to switching from that silent chronic burning mode to a powerful repair and protection mode. Start today.